All right, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to another live stream. I hope everybody's doing well out there today. It's a beautiful day here in California. Blue sky, sunshine, not too hot, not too cold, nice little breeze. Either way, nonetheless, it's a great day because we were able to wake up and see today. I'm going to wait a few minutes to get started. Just to give everybody who might join a chance to join and hang out with us for a little bit. What's going on with these gloves? So nothing major going on as of right now with this FS240 brush cutter. It's for a new customer of ours. His name's Salvador. He came and dropped it off the day before yesterday, and it's a good looking brush cutter. Doesn't look too old. He said he's had it for about a year and has about 15 hours of runtime on it, more or less. And basically, since he bought it, he started having problems with it, and he took it back to the place where he bought it from. He said supposedly they fixed it. He took it back, went to go start it, ran it for a little bit, and then it just started giving him more problems. As of right now, the one thing that I do know that is wrong with it, because he told me, is that the pull start is jammed. It's stuck. So hopefully it's just a matter of, maybe the rewind spring or a pawl broke, or maybe the cord just got tangled somehow. But so like I said, he took it back to the place where he bought it from, and I know the place. I'm not going to name any names. It is a place here in town. It's not a power equipment shop. It's a hardware store, and they sell Stihl equipment and Stihl equipment only, and they do have a little repair shop and whatnot. And apparently the guy took it back into his shop, did whatever he did, and said, yeah, I fixed it, which he did to an extent. And like I said, he took it back and tried to use it, and he only got a little more runtime out of it, and now he's got more problems or problems still. And so he took it back again, and the guy said, I don't know what more to do for you. I've done everything that I can. I'm only allowed to do so much, and if I do more or whatever, then I could lose my job and blah blah blah. And to me, it just sounded like, I definitely don't know everything, obviously, but it just sounds to me like either one of two things. One, he just didn't want to deal with it, or two, he didn't really know what was going on. And even me, I don't really know what's going on, other than the pull start is stuck. But I'll show you guys the unit. It looks really nice, obviously a little dirty because it's used for work, but brand new. He's had it for about a year, he said, and only has about 15 hours of runtime, more or less. So hopefully nothing too serious is going on. Hopefully it is just something to do with the rewind assembly, but of course that's what we're here to figure out. And so we'll see. Also, too, kind of exciting, the workbench is coming together. I just put up some more stuff on the pegboard, and few more things in general on the workbench, but it's coming together. It's coming together. It's feeling really good. I still can't believe that we're here now. So, hey, we got first generation farmer in the house. One of our badass moderators, my friend, welcome. Happy to see you. Glad you can join us for a little bit. I know you are a very busy man. Hopefully everything went well out there on the farm with the loadouts, and hope you're doing well today and find yourself just doing good. So, so here we are. As most of you know, we are primarily a saw shop. You know, we do saws, but you know, every now and then we get line trimmers, brush cutters, blowers, other types of equipment. I've done something called a Gopher X, running a Briggs and Stratton. So you know, I basically just bring in whatever I feel like I can work on and I'm comfortable working on. I will never bring in anything that I'm not comfortable or know that I can figure out. And so sometimes customers are like, just take it, figure it out. You know, no big deal if you can't figure it out. So either way, so in that case, I will. But anyhow, we got Thomas in the house. Thomas, hello. Glad you can join us. Thank you for being here. Thomas says, I think the spring went past the drum on the rewind. There's a good chance. Like I said, hopefully it is just something with the rewind and not internally, but it's a fairly new unit, 15 hours or so. You know, he is running, you know, the fuel grade that he told me he's running, it's probably not the best. It's the cheapest, 89, which, is it 89? Not the middle grade, the lowest grade. I don't even remember what that is. But Stihl recommends, from what I remember working at a power equipment shop or a dealer, that if you are going to run pump gas, supposedly that they recommend at least a grade of 89 or higher, or of course the ethanol free, which is a 94 octane if you're running VP and 93 if you're running Moto Mix. But that's where we're going to start off first, is the rewind spring, or excuse me, the rewind starter, and see what we can see. We got Carlos Ramirez in the house. Carlos, good morning. Happy Friday to you. Says good start. Says Carlos also says need a bigger flag. I agree. There's plenty of space to hang up some stuff. So over time, you know, put up some banners or something, you know, some fun stuff. But yeah, but hey, at least we're doing okay though, you know. But yeah, it's a good start. You know, I'm really happy with even what I have now, because for those of you that have been following along, you guys know, you know, where I started, and you know, it was a great start. But now we're, you know, with time, a little patience, and you know, we're moving up a little bit. First generation says, I'm good. How about you? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Glad to be here today and be able to live another day and just enjoy my last day off from my day job, which tomorrow is the start of my week. But I'm doing good, man. I feel good. Just Start Somewhere says, what would you say are the basics for giving my chainsaw a tune-up? It'd be my first time doing so. I mean, a basic tune-up is basically, you know, I would say a good clean out, you know, just clean everything you can. It just helps protect everything, and, you know, that way you can catch if anything is wearing and tearing or becoming damaged. And then really from there, fuel filter, air filter, new spark plug, you know, definitely you want to, I would say, clean out your bar, like inside the grooves, make sure that the sprocket is spinning good and it's not seizing up or loose. And definitely, you know, a good chain sharpening is good. And from there, you know, if you really want to make sure everything is good, you could always pop off your exhaust, your muffler, and take a look inside the piston and the cylinder to make sure that, you know, there's not any significant wear going on, like scoring or anything like that. Same thing if you remove your spark plug, you look down into the cylinder, and that'll give you a good view of the front side of the sleeve, and go from there. And then that should be pretty much it, you know. Um, yeah, that's pretty much the basics. And then from there, it all ties down to, make sure you're running a good oil, a good fuel grade. Just make sure everything's good. Oh, and also too, most importantly, if you can, pop off your carburetor, open it up, check the metering diaphragm just to see, how it looks and how it feels. Because over time, the metering diaphragms, just because fuel is very hard against rubber and things like that, it dries it up. Just make sure everything is in good working order. Needle valve is working good. It still has that little resistance and it springs back up. And then give your carburetor a good cleaning, because on the back side of it, so not where the metering diaphragm is, but usually on the other side, there's a little screen, and sometimes debris gets in, clogs it up, and you can just clean it out with something like gum out carbon choke cleaner. Air compress it if you have an air compressor or canned air duster, and then from there, that's pretty much all I would check for like a simple, basic, tune-up service. First Gen says, I run 93 pump. Man, you guys have 93 out there? I love the Midwest or the East Coast or wherever, you guys. Actually, you know what? We have about 3 hours away. We have a VP fuel station. They carry, they sell like 105, and I'm sure 93. So, but yeah, 93 is a good grade for sure. Is it ethanol free or ethanol? Just Start Somewhere says, nice, thanks, bro. Sounds easy enough. I think so, man, and I think you'll be able to handle that or tackle that. It's really straightforward. If anything, just like how most of us do it and how I do it and how I started, good old YouTube University. Just or look to see what other people do, but I think you got it. Just Start Somewhere says, I legit wrote that all down. I build two-stroke motorbikes, so I have a good understanding. Much appreciated. Hell yeah, man. See, you got it. You got it. It's all the same kind of, fundamentals or principles, whatever you want to call it. It's all kind of the same, That's why, if you can do a chainsaw, there's a good chance, you'll have an easier time doing line trimmers, brush cutters, hedge trimmers, blowers. It's all essentially the same, just different layouts of things, different moving parts, but all the same pretty much. Yes, ethanol gas. Either way, 93 should burn cleaner. Okay, let's go ahead and just get started on this, because this isn't something that's going to take very long, I hope, but we're still going to take our time and make sure everything is good. The 044 came out great. I ran it for a good minute yesterday. I'll post some videos of it in a little while, a little later. And, I'm going to just... Although, I'm going to do some more running of it today, just to really make sure. And just make sure it's all 100%. Good old handy dandy magnetic tray. And of course I got the gloves going just because you guys already know it's not really necessarily to prevent my hands getting dirty, but poison oak is on the rise this year as always, and this is a brush cutter, so there is a very good chance this has seen some poison oak. Okay. So here is the fan housing / rewind assembly. So your fan housing, and your rewind assembly, which consists of course, your rewind spring, pawls. They call this a little spring, but it's more, I call it a clip, a little washer typically, and then the rope rotor, and of course your rope and handle. My landlord just showed up, so hopefully I don't have to like mute the thing. So basically, as you can see, it's all working good now. The one thing that I check is obviously you can usually tell if your spring has been unwound, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of tension on that rewind spring, and what happens is a lot of the times if you go to start your equipment and you let the handle just slam back into place, it'll unravel that rewind spring, and then it's basically toast after that. So usually you can hear it if there's a lot of play in there, but it feels normal. I don't hear anything. You can kind of usually hear it, the slack playing around in there, but I don't hear anything. Feels good. The next thing I look for is to make sure that the pawl opens and closes properly. And as you can see, so basically what's happening is when the pawl opens up, it's making contact with the flywheel, and then that's what catches and cranks the crankshaft and go from there. So everything looks to be fine there. Like I said, this is a fairly brand new brush cutter, so it should not have a lot of wear and tear, especially for 15 hours. I mean, a lot can happen in 15 hours, but as you can see, it looks good. Okay, so that is good. But that is not a good sign, because the flywheel, the crankshaft, is what's seeming to be seized up, and that is not good. So we got to dive in a little further. So I'm hoping that it didn't get hydro locked or anything, but at this point, I mean, something. I can move it ever so slightly. Let me see if I can get a better. I'm going to use my Amsoil Sabre phone stand to kind of give you guys a little look at what's going on this way. Hopefully you guys can see it. And hopefully the connection isn't horrible. So one thing I am noticing is that I guess you would call this the, well, no, the clutch bell is going to be on the other side. So I'm not sure what they call it on brush cutters, but it's part of the, I'm guessing it's part of the flywheel or bell housing, or, well, the bell housing, like I said, is going to be in the front. So this is just part of the, I don't know what, again, I don't know what they call this part on these brush cutters, but there's a lot of wear. Let me show you guys. You see that right there? So something, it's not supposed to look like that. So my guess is it's part of, this happened because of whatever's happening inside. But that's not supposed to be like that, especially for a new unit like this. Jordan, we got Jordan in the house. Much love, T-Man. Happy Friday. It says part of the pull start. So yeah, we'll just call it that. Part of the pull start assembly, the rewind. But it's not supposed to look like that. So, and again, especially for a unit of that's this new. So okay, let's keep going. Let's go ahead and take this off. Ooh. So there's the air filter cover there. Oh boy. Check this out. So this is why I say cleaning is a very important part to making sure, you know, your equipment is going to be running optimally, and just cleaning is very important. I mean, it's not horrible, but these, you know, you can blow them out a little bit. So we'll just put that off to the side. And look at that carburetor, man. So it's just, you know, just air compressor, canned air. I mean, just anything would really help. But as you can see, this unit, this brush cutter is it's new. I mean, a little dirty, but that's what's supposed to happen. But all this, you know, you can just air compress it, or, you know, just for good measure. All right. So these are 2-cycle engine with a 4-cycle engine setup. So it has valves. So maintenance on these brush cutters, on the Stihls, you know, there's nothing too extra about it. Same old thing, you know, carburetor, air filter, fuel filter. But every now and then what you have to do is adjust the valves, you know, adjust the valve clearance. And it's, if you don't do it often, it can be tricky, but it's not a super impossible thing to do. The other thing too that you really want to keep in mind, you know, if you're running your brush cutter or line trimmer a lot and heavy, you know, you want to really make sure that the gear head is greased up, clean. Every now and then open it up, make sure everything is going good. You know, you could even go as far as pulling the drive shaft and, you know, greasing it, which I think that's a good idea. So anyhow, so on these, it's kind of hard to look inside the cylinder a lot of the times. A lot of the times you just have to pull the cylinder head, and it's just the whole thing. So, you know, it's been a minute since I've done one of these. So you probably will see me get a little stumped, but nothing too crazy. So this is a Stihl spark plug, or if you don't have a Stihl spark plug, it's just an NGK CMR6H. So let me see if I can. I really don't think I'm going to be able to look inside. especially because this is all seized up. Okay, it's gonna turn in, this is gonna be a full teardown. Because I won't be able to really see what's going on until I get inside. So let's tear this thing down. Let's see. So first thing I'm gonna do here, let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and dump out the gas that it has. So let me work on dumping this gas, so just give me a second here, guys. So I don't know how long the fuel has been sitting in this gas tank or what, but I'm gonna just guess that they weren't running they weren't running good gas, meaning it was old, or they didn't mix the fuel properly. I think it's not gonna look too good inside here, but I don't know. We'll see. And I'm just making this assumption based off of the color of the fuel. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second. I need to run to the restroom. Okay, sorry about that delay. And I can't remember if I already said, but I'm just making that assumption based off of the color and smell of the fuel. I feel like I already did say that, but not even really sure how much a top end for these are. I'm sure, well, obviously not cheap, but in my opinion, it is worth replacing. Let's see. And actually, I didn't even have to take off the drive shaft. Because the mounting screws are all right here. But I do need to, let's see here, okay. I'm gonna remove the rest of the stuff here. I need to pull this line. I'm gonna take these off. I think that's gonna be maybe a T20. And I'm actually gonna even though I have a bigger workbench, I'm gonna use this paper bag to put all the parts that I'm taking off, just so that way they're not really in the way. Alrighty. air filter base. Ooh, that is dusty. There is the carburetor. I think I still have a little bit of air duster left, but make sure to save that and be careful with it. But I'm not going to worry too much about the cleaning right now because I just want to see what's going on in here. Let's see. I think in that case, I'm going to put this cover back on, since it wasn't really necessary to take it off, I don't think. But one thing I will take off is the muffler. And I apologize if I'm missing some of these comments. Only Donuts55 says, why do you use an impact driver to remove bolts? Real question. Just to save a little time, save my hands a little bit. I also use them to start them in, and then I hand torque them with my T27 here. Been doing this for quite some time, and you do it enough, your hands will start feeling it. But certain things, you know, there's certain things that you can't do with an impact. But if anybody is going to use an impact, Always make sure, especially when starting screws back in, to always use your lowest torque setting and bump it up from there. So I guess to answer the question, to save time and save my hands. Like some of these screws, man, they're really tight. And like I said, you know, you do it a couple times, that's fine. But if you have multiple pieces of equipment, like I said, you will start feeling it. Okay, so there's the muffler. Little plate there. Gasket's still in place. And then this is your spark arrestor. So anytime you guys are having issues running, you know, your equipment's not running right or it's kind of bogging down, always definitely check your air filter. Make sure you're not running a dirty air filter or fuel filter like the Stihl pickup bodies, as they call them. You know, a lot of the times you can open them up and look at the filter itself. If it's really dirty and clogged up, definitely change your fuel filter. But a lot of the times too, you want to check your spark arrestor, because what happens is after time or over time, with all the carbon deposit buildup, they get clogged. So these are cool because you can just take these out, unscrew them, and then the way to clean them is if you have a torch, just burn it off, you know, and then maybe hit it with the brush. But you got to be careful. So check your spark arrestors, air filters, fuel filters. We got F Usta says hello. What up, my friend? How you doing today? Only Donuts 55 says hands are important. Yeah, man, they are. They really are. I mean, you know, some of our OG viewers, I mean, they know for the longest time I said, you don't need power tools and I don't use power tools. But like I said, you know, when I started up, you know, my company, my business, and I really started getting saws and, well, primarily we do saws here, but you know, I got a lot of saws and I'm sitting there and some of the bolts, some of the screws, they're really long, you know, they're really, there's a lot of tension on them. And over time, I could just feel it, you know, and so here I am now. And also, too, it saves time. You know, same thing with the gloves. It's not necessarily for, you know, protecting my hands against dirt and grime, but like equipment, you know, I'm really highly allergic to poison oak. And I've already ran into that problem where, you know, you don't know you have poison oak until you start itching. And so just as a precautionary, I wear gloves, and two, and it does reduce having to wash your hands over and over and over. It's already bad enough that my hands get dried out super quick and easy. So, but anyhow, so I think I can just go ahead and take this off now. Everything is good. So we'll see. This is my first time working on an FS240. The CC on this, I'll be honest, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's close to 70, I think. So this isn't the biggest brush cutter that Stihl offers. I think the biggest one that they offer is like a 561. But this one is about 70. So when California, and that's thanks to our governor, that wanted to ban small engine equipment and stuff, it was basically anything under 70 cc's. He wanted to ban, and so this fell into that category. So all these went away for a while, or they were going to go away for a while. or forever, but then they found a loophole and they're still being sold. So I want to say closer to 70 cc, and only because I don't have my tech handbook from when because I used to work at a store that sold Stihl power equipment, Husqvarna, Echo, and so I did sales for them, and then I started going into doing like service tech, so sharpening and whatnot, and then I kind of found my way into fixing customer equipment, even though I wasn't a tech or a mechanic, not certified by any means. But it's cool because we had a repair shop, and so we had, I call it the Stihl Bible. And no disrespect to the Bible, I'm just saying that it's like the Stihl Bible. It tells you literally everything you have to know or need to know to be able to sell power equipment. It just gives you everything. I mean, I'll show you guys another day. Tells you everything from CCs, power, you know, as far as, and also to like how many ounces each tank holds, whether it's fuel or bar and chain oil. I mean, literally everything. Gives you all the information there is to there. If I can talk, all the information you need to know about chains and cutter types and how a chain is put together, and it's really cool. It's actually really cool, and only dealers get those. So I love literature. So I definitely had to grab a couple. I have the one from the year that I started working there, and then the year that I stopped working there, so 2024, and go from there. So, all right. Hey, we got M&G in the house. My friend, how you doing, man? Welcome. Happy Friday. Glad you can join us for a little bit. M&G is asking, what's going on, Sawworks? Not a whole lot, man. Just working on this FS240. So a little backstory real quick, because I know you weren't here. This is for a new customer. His name's Salvador. And he brought me his FS240 here. It's the bike handle. And long story short, it's a fairly brand new unit. Has about maybe 15 hours of runtime, says. Bought it here in town from a place that sells Stihl equipment. It's not a dealer. Well, it's not a power equipment shop. It's a dealer. Had problems with it kind of from the get-go. Took it back. They fixed it, and then he took it, and shortly after, he kept having problems with it. Took it back to the place where he bought it, and then the mechanic basically told him, I've already done everything that I could. I can only do so much, and he says if I do any more than I'm supposed to or I'm allowed to, I can lose my job, blah blah blah. Kind of just I'm sure that's true. You can only do so much, but to me it seemed like they kind of kept him, they just kind of kept him hanging, and and whatever, and maybe he didn't really know what was going on or didn't want to get into it or whatever, which to me I think that's really bad customer service. If you're going to sell any type of equipment, especially big brands like this or just anything like this, I think you got to do everything you can to keep that customer happy, and back up your product. So anyhow, so he came to me and he's like, the pull starter is jammed. And I said, I don't like the way that sounds, but it could just be something with the rewind starter assembly. But come to find out, there's nothing wrong with it. Everything is working as it should. It's actually seized up. So at this point, I dumped out the fuel, and just based off of color, smell, I think potentially he was running some bad gas. And long story short, I don't think it's going to look too pretty in here, because it's all, now I can move it a little bit more, but I'm about to pull the top end off and see what it looks like. This is my first time working on a 240. Of course, you know, you got to factor in the lifters and all that, but I don't think it's going to be anything to do with that. It could, but I don't think so. So, and as you know, it's really kind of impossible to look down inside the cylinder on these, you know. So we're just gonna pop it off. And actually, now that I'm realizing it, this one doesn't have the lifters. So I thought they did. I don't know. So I'm gonna pop it off and see what we get here. MNG says, at least be silver before giving the customer a BS story. I hope you can find the issue. Sounds like a bronze level mechanic works at that shop. So sad. You can see through the exhaust. That is true, actually. I didn't even think about that. See, so it just comes to show, you know, it's just a learning process. And I thought these had the 4-cycle setup, but I don't see any valves because they're always at the top. So this is, I guess, just a straight 2-stroke. Oops. Oh boy. Either way, it's not looking too good. I feel like see that the piston just got way hot this far. So let's just pull this off and take a look, see. Let's get this gasket out of the way so we don't damage it. On the intake side, it actually looks pretty good, but I can start seeing some discoloration. So I don't know, man. Let's take a look. Let's just see. Let me pop off this connector. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, what level tech he is. You know, you know, when I was working at the shop, I was bronze. But to be able to work on Stihl equipment, you do have to be at least silver, from my understanding. But I don't know. I guess he's been there for a long time, and other people that know him, they're like, oh, he's great. You know, he's very, you know, highly respected. And I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's good at his job as far as, because he doesn't just do Stihl equipment. You know, he works at that hardware store, but he's the one that's kind of in charge of the Stihl stuff. So I don't know. And the only other thing that I'm going to say about that place, for those of you that remember, the only thing I'm going to say, because I don't like throwing names out there, really, I was going to try to work there, and I got interviewed to work there. And that's all I'm saying. Because we're not here to, because, dude, you know, this stuff is, so let me go ahead and actually take off. Completely. But MNG, man, how you been? It's been a minute. I know I've been a little quiet on the channel, but you know, you already know you're one of those that knows the whole story. Just transitioning into new town. Finally found a place to stay or to live, and I was blessed enough to be able to set up a workshop here, a shop. Let me see here. Let me pull out this connector a little bit more. Get that out of the way. There we go. Okay, here it comes. Oh, maybe a little bit more on this last screw. Here comes the sun. Not what I was expecting, actually. So the piston itself actually looks fine. It did get a little hot, but it's not scored. It does have some slight striations going on, but nothing that should be causing this to seize. So maybe it has something to do with the bearings or something. So, or maybe something internally in the drive shaft. So I got to keep tearing. Sorry, I was getting a phone call, so hopefully the audio is still good. So this is what the inside looks like. Nothing crazy. Like I said, it does have some very faint striations, but that's just kind of like fairly normal at this point. I would say I'd call that normal. Let me show you guys. Was starting to get a little hot. The piston rings are moving freely. So at this point, I'm going to say it has nothing to do with the piston or the cylinder or the rings. It's really going to be something to do with either the bearings or inside the drive shaft here. So let's keep tearing it down. MNG says, I see you got a bigger shop now. Dude, yes. Check it out. So I cleaned up the one side. That's all I really need. But then I still have that whole side that I can do something with. But yeah, it's looking good. Put up some more stuff this morning. Got our bar and chain section. So when I have saws and that has a bar and chain. So these are the pegs for bars 25 and up to 36 bars and chains. And then these over here are for bars and chains from 10 up to 20 inches. And then I have, that whole space over there to store a little shelf up there. And yeah, you got this little side over here. Gonna put up some more pegs, maybe more tools, but I pretty much got the basics, although I'm missing my little fuel line puller. I don't know what happened to it, but it's all right. Gio says, ciao. My friend, see you later. Only Donut says, that's shiny piston. Yeah, it's actually, it's still in good condition. It looks good to me. But as you can see, the top end is off and the crankshaft is still not spinning. So maybe, like I said, maybe it has something to do with bearings or inside the drive tube assembly. MNG is asking, what's the customer's issue? So the main problem was it was running, shut off, and then he wasn't able to pull the cord, and he said the rewind starter was stuck, and it was only because the drive shaft and the crankshaft are not spinning, but the rewind starter assembly itself is perfectly fine, working as it should. So I thought, okay, well, maybe, you know, maybe something happened inside the top end, but as we're seeing, everything looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and separate the power head from the drive tube assembly and just keep digging into it, because he says he only has about 15 hours of runtime on this unit. So who knows? All right. So let's go ahead now. I guess I can put this top end off to the side. I might end up moving those boards so that way I can get more. And I don't know how much the guy at the place where he bought it from took it apart. And of course, you know, our customer doesn't know that either. MNG says, get a big sign that says pause repair shop. Man, that'd be wild. Remove drive shaft. Yeah, that's gonna be my next move here. Let's get rid of this mumbo jumbo here. Let me just make sure I know where these cables are gonna go. These go out. There we go. Seems like lately connectors have not been my friends. Okay, so got that out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and put that screw back in so I know which connector goes in first. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these bars. This does unclip. I guess I don't really have to take that whole thing off anyways. It'll slide off in just a minute. Alrighty, here we go. I almost feel like taking this piston off because I don't want it to get damaged. But for now, maybe I'll just do this. So it's not just swinging around everywhere. Should be good. Okay, and there is the FS240 power head. So it looks like it's still having issues. M&G's asking, did you check if the gear head spins by hand? Give that a try. I haven't yet, but let's go ahead and try that now. Where are the tools? I have a little. I have some of those little rods to take off the gear head, but I don't have them here. So let me see if I can use this. Okay, head is off, thrust plate's off. And the gear head itself does spin. And I'm also checking it on this side too. Everything feels good. Definitely feels well lubricated. So it's gonna be something to do with something in here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this assembly here. So the bar, throttle cable, and I don't know, maybe that's the fan housing? No, I don't know, put that piece there. All right, well, let's keep it going. Okay. M&G says possible main bearings are bad is now my guess. Yeah, man. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me too. see here. So those are for so there's 1, 2. So I think I need these right here. And then that should all pop out. Okay. I'm gonna give this a little spray down with some air. That's the main reason why I start cleaning, sir, like most of the time saws when I go to inspect them, because it sounds funny, but I don't like working on filthy equipment. Plus, it's just easier to see stuff. And that was the last of my canned air. I definitely am going to buy that air compressor that I looked at, or the one that we sell at my job. So I'm going to go back and wrap this up just in the meantime. The piston that is, so that way it's not just flopping around and getting banged up. Okay. And believe it or not, I'm actually kind of glad that it turned into more than just a rewind spring, or excuse me, rewind starter, because like I said, I've never worked on one of these before. And I'm just excited because these don't have valves, and I don't ever really have to do valves, valve clearing, or the valve clearance. But so this is pretty cool. Let's see. Sweet. Okay. Really getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Okay, so I think these 4 screws here, and that should separate everything, although I think I may have to take off this part here. Let's see if I have. I wonder if these are righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Upgraded the pick tools. You know, let's try out the little makeshift vise that whoever owned this place first made out of wood. Okay, okay. That's pretty sick, dude. It's pretty sick, man. Let me bring my AMSOIL phone stand with me. I don't know, man. I'm just very happy and like grateful and thankful for this, you know, shop and this, you know, new place to live that I found, and I got lucky because now it's like working on stuff is just so much more comfortable, and then like being able to just show you guys better angles, and I know the main thing is just to get the job done, but is, you know, if I'm going to be doing live streams and videos, it's like we want to see what's going on, you know. And so as much as I'm also very grateful for, you know, when I was living with my grandparents and having my grandpa allow me to work in his little shed, and we got a lot of cool shit done in that shed, but you know, we're just kind of limited, especially on space, and it's just, I'm just happy. All right. And being able to stand now and work, and it's actually a game changer. Not that I won't be sitting to do certain things, but standing is a lot better. And the workbench is like the perfect height for me. I mean, it's, yeah. Never taken apart one of these, so I'm not sure. Need to magnetize. Well, it was already magnetized, but I need to remagnetize it. Not sure how this comes off. Maybe I got to just hammer it a little bit. Who knows? Let's work on getting this off here. It's almost like this shop was meant for me, but it wasn't. Well, it is, but I don't know. That's going to be fun to figure out where all these screws go later. Of course, for saws, you know, I'm pretty good at remembering because I've done them countless times, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. That's actually what I should probably go buy today is a little hammer or two. I don't have one. Well, there's the clutch bell. And this is really the fan housing here. Okay. We have movement. And like M&G says, and I was suspecting only because, I mean, it can only be so many things. I do think it is going to be a bearing. Because we have movement going this way. It feels... I mean, it feels fine from what I can tell. Although I kind of feel like maybe the, you know, I don't know, maybe the gap wasn't set right. Maybe it was set too close. Because on the magnets here, it looks like it was rubbing against the coil magnet. But then if you go this way, no good. So yeah, probably definitely the bearings, or one of the bearings, but at that point I would just replace both. Yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and remove this piston because it's just, I don't like it just sitting there like that. There's the clip. This is where the hammer would come in handy. Oh, I'm going against the other clip. Smart. Dear. This punch might not actually be the best. I have another set. But it looks like it was enough. Oh. Oh, maybe it was that. Could have swore I heard something in there. And now if I can just figure out how to separate. Hopefully I don't have to use a crankcase splitter or something, which I mean I do have. Might have to watch a YouTube University video, or I can just get like a soft hammer or something. I don't know. There's the needle bearing. Let me work on getting this clutch off. $10mm. Miguel Perdomo, recién me uno que realizas acá. No le entiendo lo que dice Miguel, pero saludos y gracias por acompañarnos aquí hoy. Ojalá que todo esté bien ahí por ahí. Omer says hello. Omer, hello. Hopefully I said that right. Probably not, but let's see. See if I have a socket. I mean, this is a socket, but for the impact, because we'll just save a little bit of. We ain't that strong. That's probably why I should have a hammer. Yeah, let me see. You know, like when the universe sends you signs. Like for instance, uh, I was just talking about how I don't have a hammer, and I've been wanting something like this to do like oil seals, little ball peen hammer. And so I just moved to this house. I'm renting a room here, plus I get the opportunity to set up shop in here, and there happens to be this really old school toolbox in there. I'm like, well, let me go take a look. And there's some tools in there, craftsman tools, probably actually ones that are made in the USA. I don't know if they're still. And look, little tiny hammer, perfect for oil seals. I don't know if it's going to be enough for this, but we'll see. Maybe not. Well, maybe not. But it'll work for other stuff. My favorite punches are these Dasco. Either way, that's fine. Because I can pretty much, not guarantee, I'm not gonna say guarantee, but like MNG and I were saying, it's definitely gonna be bearing related. Because I've pretty much ruled out everything else. The rewind, starting off with the rewind starter, it wasn't that. Drive shaft, gear head are both good, spin as they should. Piston is fine, rings are fine, and by fine I mean they're good. So nothing seized up in there, everything was fine. The only thing that I was thinking is maybe the gap, the coil gap was set too close, but that wasn't the case. And I'm down to the crankcase, and all I gotta do is split this in half. I just don't know how. Oh, I might have to use a crankcase splitter for this. I'm not sure because it's pretty, or just maybe like a soft hammer, a mallet, or something. But I may have to do a little research on this because I've never worked on one of these before until now. But so far it's been going good. And so at this point, I'm gonna say that it's the bearings. And if M&G is still here, I appreciate the guidance. You're always very helpful, and that's why I appreciate you. But moving clockwise, everything is spinning fine. Counterclockwise, there's issues. So, and actually, so if we're looking at it, so from this way, because this is the side of the rewind, and you're pulling, so you're pulling like this, and you're pulling out, it's actually spinning it. Hold on a second. I think it's spinning it this way, yeah. So the way that it's supposed to spin, which if you're looking at it like this from the back, so let's just say, so here's the rewind assembly. Again, this is a fairly new brush cutter. The gentleman says he only has about 15 hours of runtime on this. So essentially you're looking at it like this. And so the way this is spinning, when you go to start it, wow. If you're looking at it from the back, like this, it's going clockwise. Which that's where the problem is. And so that's what he said when he brought it to me the other day, just the day before yesterday. He's like, yeah, he's like, I can't pull the cord, it's stuck. And I said, okay. And when I hear that, I instantly assume the worst. And I was like, okay, well, hopefully maybe it's just something to do with the rewind spring, but I was like, I don't think so. But I didn't know for sure. And so coming to find out that the only thing that could be the issue at this point is the bearings. Maybe not both, but one for sure. So, Julio, yo lo escucho un temazo. No le entiendo, pero Julio, saludos, saludos. Saludos a todos, everybody, hello, hello. So, it has to go clockwise. So it cannot do that because there's too much tension on there. So the bearing, I mean, you can see I'm really trying to push it down. But clockwise, and maybe I can even see, but until I get the crankcase split, I won't be able to know for sure. But either way, it is bearing related. I'm gonna say that now because there's literally nothing else that it could be. Going counterclockwise, it's totally fine, as you can see. So basically, I'm gonna be at a standstill right now until I figure out how to get this crankcase split, because again, until today, I've never worked on one of these. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to do so, because I don't want to just hammer it up and risk damaging the crankcase. So I think it's gonna be time, it might be finally time to use the crankcase splitter that I have that I've never used. And then, you know, figure out how much bearings are going to cost, and which I already have a place that I go to, and then most importantly though, call Salvador and let him know what it's come down to. Bearings, honestly, it's you know, I think it's best case scenario, rather than having to spend the money on a new top end, piston and cylinder. You know, it's still going to be an investment, you know, of course, for time and labor, but you know, it's okay. I mean, it's still best case scenario. So yeah, so that's basically it for now. So now we know why he was having a hard time or unable to start his FS240, because it won't crank over, because one of the bearings is shot. Had nothing to do with the rewind starter or the rewind assembly. It didn't have anything to do with the gear head or the drive tube assembly, like the drive shaft. And thank goodness it wasn't a seized up top end, because that would have been way worse. It would have. And so at this point, just got to get it a new set of bearings, because at the I don't believe in just replacing the one. I'd rather just replace them both, because if he got it, he's only had this brush cutter for a year or so. Professional equipment, Stihl equipment, only comes with a 3-month warranty, unless you buy a gallon of Moto Mix or you buy a pack of oil, and they double it to 6 months. But 6 months, I mean, come on. And so, only 15 hours of runtime. These bearings should last way longer than 15 hours. I mean, they should almost pretty much go forever. Of course, things happen. So obviously, my assumption is that it came with faulty bearings from the manufacturer. So Stihl in this case. Things happen, or depending if the mechanic at this place, which again is not a power equipment shop, it's just a hardware store that sells Stihl equipment and Stihl equipment only. He does do some repairs, and he does do, they have a little shop in the back. Maybe he did take it apart. Maybe he did take it apart to rule everything out. But then again, who knows? Because I feel like if the bearing was faulty or defective from the get-go, he should have been able to catch that. Or if he did put it back together, maybe he damaged one of the bearings on the way, putting it back together. And I don't really know. But all I know is that we figured out what the issue is, and it is the bearings. Bearings. Because there's nothing else that it could be. So, and I feel pretty good. First FS240 ever since Preferred Sawworks was started. I have worked on like 131s, 111s, 91s, but it was just simple stuff like carburetor replacements, carburetor rebuilds, tune-up services, but nothing like this. But I feel good about it. The only thing that's tricky at this point is figuring out how to get the crankcase split. And there's a lot of screws, and you can tell by the screws, this is a really new unit, fairly new. So look at that. The screws are still, they're not even dirty or anything. So I'll give you guys a look at the piston one more time. Looks good. I'll probably just clean it up a little bit, meaning hit it with some like purple power or something, just clean it up a little bit, but it's all good. The rings move freely. No signs of wear and tear or damage. Here is the cylinder. But here is the top end. And I was under the impression that that all Stihl line trimmers and brush cutters had valves. But I come to find out that not all of them do. So this 240 does not have valves. So that is a huge relief for me, because I don't ever have to work with the valves, or have never done valve work or valve clearance, none of that, like readjust the valves. Not that I've been shown how to do it, but that was over a year ago. But I could learn. But that's going to make this job just that much. I don't want to say easy, but smoother, hopefully. So anyways, but here is the cylinder. Like I said, it does have, very, very faint, like striations, but I feel like that's just normal. Nothing to be like, oh my goodness, but everything is good. No carbon buildup. It's clean. again, only 15 hours or so. So anyhow, well, everybody, I hope you guys have a good Friday, rest of your day, wherever you find yourselves in the world. I hope you all have a good weekend ahead. Tomorrow it's back to my day job at the hardware store, because I also work at a hardware store. Um, and so there's not going to be a whole lot of action, you know, for the next few days. So basically, you know, on my days off, so Thursdays and Fridays is when things are going to go down. Um, but um, but yeah, I'm glad to be making my way back to equipment, to saws, to you guys, doing live streams, kind of getting back to the flow of things, which I think we definitely are. Um, and yeah, very, very happy to be back. So, but anyhow, much love to everybody. I'm going to get out of here, make some phone calls, and basically just do some like back end social media stuff. You guys already know videos, pictures, the not super important stuff, but it is because it's fun. But that's it. So much love to everybody. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all taking time out of your day to hang out and see what we got going on. MNG, if you're still around, I appreciate the guidance on this FS240, and just everybody being here. So much love to everybody. Take care. Hopefully see you on the next one. Peace.